Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm Paul Forno, Global Commerce Lead at Deloitte Digital. Super excited to be here and talk around these things. I've been doing commerce for 20 plus years and have a great set of smart guys I get to talk to about all things B2B commerce and a great uh, solution that I think you guys are going to get excited about. So, Dwayne, do you want to introduce yourself from Shopify?
Sure. Thank you, Paul, for the kind words. My name is Dwayne Doshier. I'm a partner growth architect at Shopify, and I serve in a role that helps our partners grow on and with Shopify in service of our ever-expanding enterprise merchant base. Similar to Paul, I have a couple of decades of experience in e-commerce, almost exclusively serving B2B manufacturers and distributors. Gerald.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Dwayne, for joining us today. Amazing to have the conversations with you guys and your insight. I'm in the SAP space since 25 years, doing implementations with SAP, probably did 10 myself. Had then a commerce company in the B2B space, serving SAP clients as well. Did still at that time my own implementations, so I know how hard it is from my own experience to get world-class experiences for B2B accounts. And then since over 10 years, working as founder of enosix, where we make it seamless to connect SAP ERP with very modern front-end systems like Shopify through process virtualization. We'll get in details later. Thanks again for everybody that's on today and listening into this.
All right. So we've got a lot of material to cover today. I'm going to start off with some of the new B2B commerce research that I just led, and we're going to talk about some of the stuff that's there. Second, we're going to cover this integrated solution that we all of our companies have brought together that I think can get you to the marketplace faster. We're going to show off the demo and go through a couple case studies, and then at the end, we're going to open it up for Q&A. So, you know, we'll have a lot of time at the end for questions. So looking forward to hearing what you're at. All right. To start off with, first place I'd like to start off with, because so much time, I spend a lot of time just definition. Sometimes this gets confusing. So when we talk about B2B commerce, I start at the very basic, right? It's all things digital, how two companies sell together. That's B2B sales. And B2B commerce is all things digitals that enables that. And so really like to start there because sometimes there's a lot of misunderstanding or very think narrowly. So when you start at that high level, I also like on the left, you see kind of a circle diagram there, and that's what I say is an omni-channel view of B2B commerce. And so many clients look at that and say, hey, when I'm talking about commerce, I actually mean marketplace. So you could be selling on a marketplace or have your own third-party marketplace that you're selling to, or your own marketplace that you're selling with other customers. Or a big thing in B2B is procurement. Doing a punch out and connecting to your customers' procurement system, be it like something like a Coupa or a Reba or even EDI. You could also have created dealer portals that enables you to sell across all of this, to enabling your sales, like enabling your sales to also leverage your sales teams to leverage this, or your call center. So there's a lot of different ways that B2B commerce can come to life. And sometimes they might call it all those things, but when we're talking about B2B commerce, we really mean all of those things. So today's discussion, and in fact, like then, part of this too, we're going down the road is how agentic is also getting in here. And so this is all super exciting stuff. So I'd like to start there just to make sure that people understand kind of definitionally. So Dwayne, maybe share kind of your perspective on just sometimes confusion around B2B commerce and kind of what you've seen.
Yeah, I think one of the things I loved your explanation there and setting the terms. Of course, we all hear this phrase sometimes. It's especially prevalent in trade show season that B2B needs to be more like B2C. But I think the graphic on the left really shows how difficult that can be because in B2C there's no e-procurement or punch out or EDI. There's not really a call center in most cases, though some B2C brands have that. And I do think that sometimes people think that B2B digital commerce is what's on the upper left. It's a direct online commerce experience at a website. And I think Shopify is largely known for that, world-class websites. But so much of what's on the right of the circle there, e-procurement, dealer portals, configure price quote. Shopify can do quite a bit of that too. And I'm in conversations almost weekly around, very successful B2B sellers that are just printing cash almost by taking email orders. And they don't want their buyers to necessarily go to a website. That's a change in buyer behavior. Most buyers don't want to change. They want the easy path. They've been sending emails for 20 years. So sometimes B2B e-commerce looks like digitizing that order ingestion from an email, process it with really high accuracy, and then present the completed order in a portal-like experience that's not focused on the transaction, but is focused on sharing accurate, timely information. And I know, Paul, you and I've had discussions and done joint presentations that, a path to start is, with a dealer portal, presenting accurate information regarding order status, quote status, service status, and then maybe move into transactional commerce or maybe bring your e-procurement into the web portal. I really think in B2B, it can take on one or more of the flavors of what's on the left. And as businesses become, are global, or they're going through mergers and acquisitions, or they're selling into multiple categories, some businesses have all of the things that are on the left. And I think it just presents, I think what's on the left really is just a good view to what commerce can be beyond the website.
Yeah, and more than just people understanding kind of definitionally what it means. Just to give you a sense, it's a huge opportunity for a lot of companies. Like this is an example of kind of data recently. $22 trillion of sales happened between companies, B2B sales, and only 2 trillion of that is now B2B commerce. And actually, it's growing at 2x B2C rates. And if you look at the TAM, over half of that is still done manually, meaning you might get an electronic payment, but it has to be manually aligned and put to an account, etc. So there's still a lot of opportunity here. And so part of the challenge here is we really want to move, quickly. And so one of the things, well, that was just the starting point to understand, like, when we're talking about B2B commerce, what it is and what the opportunity. And so, Deloitte, I've led B2B research over the last couple of years, and just this past fall, we have new research here, and we're going to just share a couple things. Feel free to reach out to me, and I can share the full research. But when we looked at 500 plus companies and also 500 plus buyers from those companies, and we targeted companies over a couple hundred million, 1,000 plus people, etc. So larger clients. We looked at their data, and what we found was the more mature clients that were growing faster, the more mature ones were growing 110% faster than the less mature ones. And when we dug into the details, we found, they are 5 times more likely to have invested in digital commerce and in AI. And so that's the big wake up call that the the B2B companies that have invested, it's paying off and growth there. So
Paul,
like Gerald, maybe
Paul, I think
share
like
your own perspective of what you've seen in
yeah,
that
I
space.
think it ties all to your first slide, right? Like when I picture myself, I might order completely different than you, Paul, or you, Dwayne, in different situations, right? I might be out on a bike ride with my kids and forgot something to order, and I have 30-second attention span from my kids. I don't want to log on somewhere and find my password and stuff like that. I want to just be on there on the app and process my reorder so that it's off my mind and I can enjoy my day. You might have a professional buyer on a portal that's more specific about, oh, what's the contract pricing? When do I really get it? I have to schedule a service technician to drive the product there to do maintenance. So there's all different kinds of flavors of human interaction with all those channels. And the more complete those are covered with digital automation, the more maturity you have and the more impact you make for your customers, better customer happiness, NPS goes up, revenue goes up, you have better margins and those things, right? And we really focus today on how seamless can we make the experience to drive impact and results. I think that's what it's all about. Like, to have those channels all isolated and not talking to each other won't help you. They need to be all really integrated, as well integrated to your execution system, your ERP, so that the data quality, the accuracy brings enormous value for your consumer that orders and makes it very easy and seamless. Right?
Yeah, Dwayne, any thoughts here you'd like to add?
Yeah, well, you don't have it on this slide. I mean, my experience is that these high maturity suppliers also have, higher EBITDA than lower maturity. So it's this awesome combination of, driving more growth at, more profit as well. There's also, some customer lock-in type of outcomes that come with this. But yeah, it's like this is not unprofitable growth that you might see in some B2C type of high growth companies. This is high growth at good profitability. So it really can really deliver for the business if businesses can be mature. And as Gerald said, if all those channels are well integrated, and the same information is available in most of the channels, if not all of the channels, that can also just take costs out of the business relative to customers hunting for information, driving calls into call centers. So again, I would encourage the audience to reach out to Deloitte and have a conversation about growth and about profitability relative to this slide.
Yeah, you just reminded me of one thing, just to make clear for everybody. This was actually one of the questions we get a lot is like, oh, are you just shifting revenue from one channel to another? And this specifically was incremental sales driven by e-commerce and B2B commerce. So that's that's a lot of the questions that we get, and so that's why we made sure to highlight that. So pretty significant. I'm gonna shift over. We're not going to cover everything that's in the research, but one of the other big things that we saw that's affecting Null, and I'm sure many of the people on the call right now, is just are either in the midst of an ERP upgrade or about to, just like you see with SAP, for example. So SAP S4, there's thousands of companies that need to upgrade to S4 over the next couple of years, and we've seen this. And so one of the big things that it's in the midst of so many of these companies that 87% are going to be upgrading their ERP in the next couple of years. Half of them already, like, pretty much in the midst of it, but in the midst of all of this. So it's a pretty big thing that's happening. And I think this gets to the crux of where the opportunity is here. So, Gerald, do you want to just share kind of your thoughts on, enosix and the opportunity here?
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, most of our customers, they have divisions that are still on ECC. Some are moving to S4HANA. Some might already be with some business processes on S4HANA. But everybody is dealing with a multi-year project, right? This is not push a button and then the next day all your business organizations are on S4HANA and the newest release. So what we see a lot of time that we hear is, well, I gotta wait until I'm done with my conversion. You might not done for 5 to 10 years with all your divisions, what enosix ensures, and we'll talk about that later, is you can innovate today through our integration and process virtualization with the SAP system, ECC and S/4HANA, and have a very modern tool set like Shopify today, generate all the great things we talked about, higher revenue, higher margin, better processes, better NPS for your customers, right? And then when you're ready for that business unit to move on S/4HANA and switch it over, it's a technical switch. It's not a rebuild. Your Shopify tool doesn't even know what's in the backend anymore. And that's a huge power for the business because you take all that risk of re-implementation, retesting, and stuff like that out. So that's a huge advantage. I'm curious, Dwayne, you probably talk about that on a daily basis, right, with your enterprise accounts in the manufacturing space.
Yeah, and this isn't just my time here at Shopify. This has been, I think, a theme of my career for well over a decade is, do we do e-commerce first or the ERP upgrade first? There's always these conversations. Well, if we do it in order, simultaneously, it's too risky. A lot of times the risks aren't quantified or even really well stated, but people just have a feeling that it's too risky. I think some of that a lot is like scar tissue from prior ERP projects, or potentially scar tissue from the early days of e-commerce with custom systems or immature monolith commerce providers. But this is one of the things I'm really excited about with enosix and Deloitte is the ability to activate commerce for enterprise merchants without regard to where their ERP status is, or rebuild a lagging commerce channel on Shopify, take advantage of all the Shopify offers, including world-class checkout, world-class acquisition tools, world-class service tools, and provide those compelling customer experiences now without ever having to expose to your customers that there's an ERP upgrade or change happening in the background. It's really compelling to our enterprise B2B sellers and to our global accounts. It's just such a game changer than the incremental sequential order that was previously required.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's something I'm just going to build on, and one of the questions comes back is just what stats do you have, or business cases, etc. And I'm going to share. This is something that we've seen in working with clients. I've had a number of clients come back to me. It's like, I have to do this upgrade. It's hard to see what the actual business case is. And so one of the things that we've now worked with our clients on is, hey, actually, if you're going to do that transformation, it's for the most part, of lots of B2B companies, it's like most of your IT. And it's like upgrading half your house. So if you're going to upgrade half your house, why not upgrade it all? And what we found was the relative investment for front office and commerce is much smaller, but the payback is much bigger. So the case study here that we have is there was a 25% investment portion of the overall investment that went to commerce primarily and front office, and the front office being additional marketing and commerce and service capabilities. While it was only 25% of the investment, when we looked at the business case, it actually translated to 60% of the business case. So said another way, it actually, excuse me, bad timing there. That 25% investment translated to 60% of the business case value. So said another way, the front office helped to pay for the back office. And what's different from now, and I was around back on the last major upgrade area, like you literally had to wait till it was done. With all the new SaaS and technology, you can do this at the same time. And so, Gerald, maybe you can share a little bit about how this works, like how specifically how enosix helps to facilitate that.
Yeah, we'll have a detailed slide a little later, but
yeah,
basically it works that we're putting a technology on top of SAP's ECC of any version that we have, and S/4HANA, and we normalize the business process virtualization to the front end. So the front end talks to enosix process virtualization objects, and we then take care of all the execution with the SAP backend. And that means hopefully nobody has 4.6 anymore, but from the earliest versions of SAP, OSS nodes to the latest S/4HANA. So what that does for you is it gives you absolute power of choice where you do projects, because the old school data integration is not a topic anymore. We virtualize your data from SAP, your customers, your products, your product configuration, your contracts, your shipping routes, your selling exclusions, your quoting process, your ordering process, your service process, your cases, complaints, and make them in real time available in the Shopify front end for the user experience. So you don't need to wait for, on ECC, I need to synchronize the data up with Excel, download Excel uploads and batch load the orders back and wait if the batch load happens or not happens, then I can confirm the order on the Shopify commerce platform. It's all tied together live and communicating live, so there is no disconnection anymore. And that means you have accurate information, you have customer-specific information, and you're building trust for your customers that they can rely on what they are seeing, and they get acknowledgements around their price, around basically it's pricing and when do I get it, right? Those are the two biggest questions companies have when they place something, especially if you are in manufacturing services and stuff like that. You want to know, is this product arriving tomorrow at 1 o'clock at the client location because I have a person arriving there to fix the part on the machine. That's very relevant. So it needs to be accurate. And then you have the whole self-service piece of where is my orders, where is tracking information, can I do reorders and all those things, and tie that into the Shopify functionality that's available.
So and that was great. You got into the details there, but like, again, this is part of how we all came together, right? We've had some success actually delivering at some large companies. And so we're used to doing these large transformations, and I work with our SAP implementation guys. And this is why we all came together, because, that business case, we can help pay for the back office. You can get this capabilities and wins in early. And so part of the story that we've seen together, and, Gerald, we jointly did, like, we were able to, even though the SAP upgrade might take 1.5 to 2 years, we got an order status portal out in like a couple of weeks and we're able to roll out some more capability. Okay. When S4 came, there wasn't much change to it. And so this is part of like why we brought this solution together. Dwayne, do you want to just share a little bit about the B2B Shopify version here?
I do. I like both the prior slide and this slide. And Gerald, I really do appreciate your explanation on the prior slide. One of Shopify's, principles, something we really do believe is that all good software is fast. And I think there's a parallel to that good customer experiences are fast. Many Shopify merchants, especially in B2C, bring all their business intelligence into the Shopify platform. The data lives in Shopify, the business rules live in Shopify, and we serve it from a single platform. And of course, it's very, very fast. But for the types of merchants that are participating in today's call, they've invested many millions of dollars putting the pricing rules, the process rules into SAP. And to make an ask to bring that into Shopify and have to specify that and build that and test that and maintain that might be a bit of a bridge too far. So this type of solution allows the investment in SAP, both legacy ECC or future in HANA, all the business rules that are inside there, the intelligence sides inside there, to live in the purpose-built system that is SAP, and then bring that to Shopify and deliver those very rapid experiences. and be presenting product price information, just with like split-second page load times. And some of what Shopify really delivers here in these types of solutions is, world-class performance on the storefront, sub-second page load times, our world-class checkout, which can handle, many tens of thousands of checkout starts per minute per merchant. I've not seen a B2B logo on Shopify yet that is doing 40,000 checkout starts per minute. So our ability to scale to high transaction volumes is really unmatched. And Deloitte, I think here across all this, brings great consulting to what should be built and why, and how do we realize that business case, and potentially how do we even operate the platform. So the triple play described on this is, I think, just really, really compelling for manufacturers and distributors who are making that transition from, on-prem to cloud, or are looking to, have a customer experience that can fund larger back office transformations.
Great. And Gerald, I know you just went in and covered a lot of the enosix piece on here. I'm gonna jump ahead. I think one of the important things here, like if you look at this and the way we look at this session, we've seen some other partnerships or platforms that try and take over parts of SAP as system of record, but this solution does not. It still keeps SAP as system of record, um, and coordinates, makes it a great user experience. So, Dwayne, do you want to share a little bit more about that, like the importance there, like we're using the best of each of the platforms?
Yeah, I like what you said about system of record, because again, Shopify historically is known as a D2C platform where Shopify is the system of record. We can run entire, merchant businesses from the day they have the idea to start the business to, many, many hundreds of physical locations. But as we're talking about this type of world in B2B, systems of record matter. And whether that's, the ERP, the PIM, versus a system of reference like Shopify that is referencing the data in SAP and just presenting it in very compelling ways to merchants. I think what Shopify delivers here is really on the left. It's about modernizing the buying experience. It's about being able to deliver really compelling value propositions with highly aesthetic modern designs, highly performant websites, and be pulling all of that from SAP, or other systems, while continuing to really on the second bullet to allow, SAP with all the business rules that have been built in to govern what happens, what prices are shown, what kind of approvals might need to be in place. Are we integrating with a loyalty module or something like that? And then on the virtualization and the upgrade on the far right, those are kind of masked to the buyer. The buyer, it really doesn't need to know about that. They just really need to be able to focus on the job to be done, which is find the correct product, confirm price, confirm availability, purchase it, and have nearly instantaneous confirmation that what they ordered has been accepted and it's on its way.
Gerald, any thoughts you want to add to here?
You guys summarized it perfectly here, that execution piece, Dwayne, in today's world is obviously key, right? That we can trust that it's executed and it's in shipping and the box is packed and it goes out within 2 hours or less, right? That's what consumers expect today as well in B2B, right? That's where that B2B world goes to. So that seamless execution with SAP is very important. The only other thing I want to point out for the audience here, why virtualization for us is so important, is because we work with global organizations, right? They have 20, 30, 40 organizations globally to support and as well provide commerce stores for those organizations and commerce platforms. And in a traditional synchronization way, you can imagine what complexity that means if I have to sync my data for Brazil, for Canada, for North America, for Germany, for Italy, and so on, and my pricing logic and all those things in different platforms and develop that manually, how much that slows me down to roll something out to a business user. And then how much it takes if changes would appear in the SAP system around your contract logic. In our case, you change it in SAP, and it's in real time available in your commerce store. You change the pricing for your customer group, add 5%, it's immediately available for future pricing. And that's very powerful. And we see companies that we work with expand way faster their solutions to their audience, and as well provide a lot quicker, more value for them, and have customer feedback loops that they can react to way quicker with modern front ends than with more traditional ways of integration. So that process virtualization is really key for us, for our customers to grow and accelerate.
And I'll just underline that, like that is not every commerce platform or tool enables that, to make it easy to leverage it for your front office, and enabling that experience to enable that self-service and being able to have access, like the fact that enosix sits in SAP is a pretty big deal, because it has access to the APIs and creates an API wrapper around it to make it easy. And that's why we're excited about this whole end-to-end integrated accelerator that we've invested in building to show between Shopify, enosix, and SAP. And so we actually pulled together, and I'm gonna kick it off here. We pulled together a little demo of the accelerator that we built. And so this just shows a user experience of trying to what this would actually look like. And this is actually connected to an SAP instance. And so this is, the Shopify experience, going through all this, and we're integrating. And so, Gerald, if you want to take it from here. You're on
You
mute.
obviously have live pricing, your customer specific pricing. You have availability cross plans, cross warehouses. You have the flexibility to add additional ERP data at choice. We have access to anything in opportunity to cache that you want. And then it goes seamless into the world-class shopping experience and checkout. Dwayne, if you want to talk about why this is so great with Shopify here.
Sure. Yeah. In this example, as Paul said, is jointly built. While the styling is appropriate for today's demonstration, I do want to reinforce that we provide a nearly infinite ability to style the storefronts, style the cart and checkout, present the brand story, present the brand style guide, and so we can really bring that to life. In terms of the cart and checkout, that is one of the key value points of Shopify. We have a world-class, highly performant checkout. It's faster than any other competitive checkout on the market. It converts at higher rates than any other checkout on the market. That's not Dwayne from Shopify saying that. That's multiple third-party studies saying that. And so while I beat up a little bit at the beginning that B2B doesn't need to be more like B2C, having these known checkout patterns that are really fast to load, that are extensively stylable by a merchant, and you're having that B2C, fast checkout experience, it's a game changer, right? Then waiting to load the cart, you hit submit and the spinner starts in the prior era. In the Shopify era with enosix and Deloitte, that's nearly instantaneous, meaning a second or two, and that's really dependent upon if order simulation's happening at the moment of checkout or not. So a key takeaway here is Shopify in many ways is checkout, and checkout is Shopify. And if you want a world-class checkout, please reach out. Let's have some conversations among the three people on the call today.
And the product is validated, the prices are validated, right? So the customer can trust that they pay for what they ordered and they get it with the date they received. And then obviously, as you saw in the last section here, you have full access then as well to all your ERP orders in Shopify. You can see order history, you can see order status, delivery status, dates. You can even go as far as downloading PDFs for delivery confirmations, invoice confirmations, and things like that. So really use it as a self-service platform as well for your customers and distributors. We'll talk about the checkout that's so important in the next example use case from one of our manufacturing customers, where that simplicity has obviously huge impact, right? That's what everybody strives. How better can I convert in checkouts? How many lost or canceled checkouts do I have that are lost revenue opportunities, right? I think that when that's always the big uptake for any commerce platform, right?
Yeah. I'd offer here too, just as maybe as a little parallel, while I just spoke quite a bit about checkout, everything that was in the demo there could also be used to start a quote. And Shopify is very well suited to start a quote by selecting products, submitting it for a quote. Merchants can use our admin panel or SAP to modify the quote and then be presenting that back to a customer and again check out in standard ways. So when you hear me say something about world-class checkout, that's also extensible to quotes, and so many manufacturers and distributors start with quotes, and so don't want that to get lost.
And coding automation is going to be key for everybody, right? Like the first accurate quote wins 80% of the time the business. So think about that as audience on this call, like what can you do to make your quoting more seamless, to make quote to order conversions better? That's where there's a lot of easy money to be made with new technology that's out there.
Thanks, Gerald. I think the other thing I want to point out here is that the one thing that you're not seeing, you don't see all these custom integrations. You don't see lots of mini tools. And like, this is what I was just so impressed and why we've partnered with enosix on this is like, it's an API within SAP that finesses and allows that information to go out. And so part of this, one of the challenges I've seen many times is like people want to build this new e-commerce experience and then they try and get into more complicated reinventing what's already in the system of record in SAP. And this does not change the system of record. It makes it more easily accessible. So you kind of get the best of both worlds, right? enosix makes it easy to leverage, and then you can use the best user experience for commerce with Shopify. All right, so let's just jump. So, where I was going with this is really, three outcomes that you see because Gerald and your enosix integration makes it so easy to integrate. Like, the ability to be agile and get stuff out quicker and be able to, you don't have to wait to the upgrade. You can point at it to ECC and then later have point it to S4 and the API doesn't change. That's a big deal, right? And so this helps to be, faster to market. We've seen that. We have case studies. And I know this is, Gerald, you're going to get into this next, but like all of these make it easier, reduce the risk and the cost. And so it's a, a great combination. So maybe you can share, Gerald, a little bit about what the other potentials are here and also about the case study.
Yeah, the big pieces we summarized, like it's that real-time virtualization, right? Pricing, inventory, product data is very important, like configurable products, custom order product, business processes that we can solve that. That is usually very complex to do. And as you guys know, like if you can only cover 70% of products online, people continue sending emails and calling. That's like the death of a modern commerce platform because they don't place two orders, right? So we can really address as well high complexity cases and enable 100% of your coding and ordering process in Shopify. Then the order confirmation is big, where you have the customer 360 and the tracking so that you can get that into self-service. People just want to have that information now 24/7 and mostly on the weekends, right? Service technicians are reordering their stuff on Sunday for Monday, Tuesday appointments, and they want to do it on their dime when they have time and not when your call center is available or not available, or your chat is online or not online. Hopefully, as we're going more to AI with this as well, hopefully your chat will always be online and provide answers through this platform as well. But those are the two big pieces. And I'm excited to talk about the next use case that kind of like summarizes, Paul, if you want to go to the next slide for a second, that really summarizes what should we strive for. This is an example of a distributor scenario for a large manufacturer. They had very low adoption in their portal. The problem was not all the data was visible. The data that was visible was outdated. They could only do very little of the business process. They could get quotes for simple products, but not for complex ones. They couldn't really track. They had a estimated delivery time, but not a real delivery time, and they couldn't track things themselves. So they had very little exposure to their distributors, and the solution was to give them all those things online through process virtualization with enosix. All of a sudden, they had partner-specific pricing, they had the full quote-to-order process and invoice visibility, and some of the numbers that are resulted in the benefits on the right side here are pretty significant, right? From 100 to 2,500 orders, 13% basket loss eliminated. That's a huge one. And that was due to a seamless checkout that had all the information available and had the accurate pricing there. In the old system, they didn't have pricing accuracy. Only 60% of the prices were correct, and the distributors just lost trust in what they have to pay and not, and do they have to go back and get a credit or not, so they would just stop ordering. So that is a huge success for that company. As well, when you think about all those channels that we had on the first slide, those B2B channels that Paul showed, platform changes like that are so significant like this with Shopify and enosix, they have a huge ripple effect to other departments, right? So this then created a 20% savings with the account representatives in customer service because people wouldn't call so often anymore. People would not complain about pricing anymore. There were less credits to be issued. So a lot of workload was taken out by eliminating errors, but as well then by offering a world-class self-service and a world-class portal for quoting and ordering. So everybody on this call should strive for numbers and results like that, I think.
And I'll offer, I don't think the results and benefits on the right are at all uncommon, right? This isn't a like far right side of the bell curve case study. This is an example of several of the benefits that can be delivered. Any one of the benefits on the right side might pay for the program that we were talking about earlier. But when combined, the business case is typically can pay for things in under a year, right? And I'm in a lot of conversations, have historically been for over 10 years about, what does success look like? A lot of times it's like, are people even logging into our portal? Much less are they logging in the second time. Much less when is our first order going to happen? And so anytime I see, going from 100 to thousands of orders in 3 months, even for the largest multi-billion-dollar seller, I think that's something to be celebrated. But I don't think it's being celebrated because it's uncommon. It's being celebrated because it's happening in your company. The efficiency improvements as well. That drives directly to EBITDA. So again, back to what Paul was saying about higher growth. It's higher growth. It's EBITDA. It's risk reduction. I would just reinforce that this is not an uncommon use case, but it's now more available to merchants because of the enosix integration.
All right. So great case study. And we've seen the clients that we've helped along this path. We've seen this benefit. And there's so many more opportunities, to get started in here. So I wanted to, give a chance. I know there's a lot of people on here. Any questions, feel free to submit a question here. We're happy to jump in and answer now. While we're doing that, I know there was going to be a poll. Maybe we throw up that poll
Dwayne, there's a question for Shopify around your B2C functionalities, how they are available in B2B, especially around A/B testing, experience testing, and stuff like that. That usually is really lacking in B2B platforms.
Sure. Broadly, the majority of the capabilities that Shopify offers B2C are also available on B2B. They're available because we have a unified platform, meaning it's a single platform serving B2B, B2C, point of sale, agentic. We did not, acquire and stitch together acquisitions. This has all been built natively. So a large majority of our B2C features are available on B2B. In terms of A/B testing, we do have an A/B testing product, and historically, A/B testing had to occur by taking part of live traffic to your site and pushing a portion of it to the experience to be tested. Perhaps 90% would go to the original experience and 10% would go to the new experience, and then you would be comparing them at a statistically significant level. Merchants can still do that, but Shopify has a tool called SimGem that allows merchants to build the new experience they would like to test or multiple experiences they would like to test, and then use synthetic artificial traffic to test the outcomes. And it's highly statistically significant. We have merchants that are using it just in testing many versions of changes at one time, picking the one that SimGem indicates could be the most successful, and then putting that into production. Our tools also allow merchants to use conversational AI to build out the experiences they want. That's Shopify Magic for product data, product photos, and a Shopify Sidekick for the site experiences. And what does that mean? It means that, compared to maybe the old days where you had to have a designer, had to have an architect, had to have a series of business analysts to kind of scope these changes and then build these changes and test these changes. We're in an era now at Shopify where you can just tell the system in plain language what you like to create. And in many cases, it can create it and then push it through the A/B testing tool SimGem and go live with it. And so that means non-technical business users can have an idea, and if they have the permissions and rights to do so, they could just say it in plain language, change button A from red to blue. And the system can do that at the speed of thought, at the speed of conversation, and you can rapidly test that. So again, these are, I went a little bit bigger than the A/B testing there, but this is the unlock because it's separate from the business rules that are sitting in SAP that are being provided by enosix. That separation allows merchants to really experiment on the storefront while having confidence that they're not breaking the business rules in SAP.
Awesome.
Yeah.
On the AI side, we created something similar for SAP ECC and S/4HANA. So we call it Arnold. It's our AI engagement to get SAP work done. So the business user can talk with SAP and chat and ask questions, and SAP just returns the answer, as well usable for self-service. So those announcements are going to come out pretty soon, and then obviously as well available through Shopify and Deloitte.
Yeah. I just pull the thread a little more. I know a lot of times manufacturers, distributors know that AI can help their business, but sometimes wonder, how do I get started? Or is it really going to affect change? Or will I really be able to see the results? And I think the example I just gave with Shopify, an example you just gave, Gerald, can bring that to life very quickly for manufacturers and distributors that are looking for practical, results-driven AI versus the experimentation that so many are doing. I do encourage manufacturers and distributors to go all in on AI and provide the tools to their workforce and experiment, because those happy accidents can generate tremendous enterprise value. But if merchants are looking for practical tools that their teams can use, that can be enabled in hours, days, and can be useful right now for their customers, for their employees, I'd encourage them to raise their hand to any of us in the call. Again, Deloitte's in a great position to help clients understand, what can we do and what should we do? And then I think enosix and Shopify are in a great position to bring that to life with technology.
Well said, Dwayne. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions that we have here? I might just summarize here because I think coming away from this, I think what you have kind of the best of all worlds that we believe, right? Like, one, Deloitte's the largest commerce agency in the world, and we can help drive these transformations on all of not just the development piece, but like the change management, the business cases, the industry expertise that we can bring to bear, and bringing the best tools here from we heard from Shopify, that great user experience front end. And then the key thing to understand from enosix is you're leveraging data and the tool from within side of SAP, which is amazing, right? It's a registered tool that enables an API on top of it. And so you're using, the system of record at SAP. You're not recreating the wheel. So it's a great solution to in our research. Feel free to follow up with any of us on our integrated solution. We have great research that helps you make the business case, and that's something that I'm having a lot of conversations. So feel free to reach out to me. But yeah, just want to thank everybody for attending today, and so thanks guys for the great conversation, and look forward to working with many of you guys out there.
Thank you so much. Thanks,
for the
Paul.
invite
Thanks,
today.
Dwayne. Appreciate you.
Appreciate both of you.